Hello and welcome back to another video with me, FoxyNoTail, here in a creative version of my Bedrock realm, and I'm playing with Guardian farms again, and I've come up with a very simple and pretty cheap design that means that you don't have to clear out a massive amount of water. It's still quite a lot of water you've got to clear, but in terms of redstone and functionality and efficiency, this should be pretty good. So let's have a look at what we've got here. Each of these areas here where you can see the Guardians flapping about, we've got a water source block, and this is, if you watched my Guardian spawning mechanics video, these are the only areas above here where Guardians will surface spawn. So forget below this concrete here. Underneath here there's nothing, there's no Guardian farm, there's no ocean monument, there's nothing at all. Forget that shoot, that was just from a test project. So by having this platform, we're forcing Guardians to do surface spawns which only occur in these exact positions here where we've got our water source blocks. So by using these one single block water source blocks, we can actually force the Guardians to spawn into our little lava and magma block killing chambers. So what happens is the Guardian spawns in that water block, it can't fit in there, it glitches through the glass and it ends up in here. Right, I've reduced my field of view right down to 30. I'm going to zoom in on this particular one here and hopefully you'll see it happening and see it in action. There we go. Almost immediately after I said it, it went straight in. So you saw it spawn in the water block and it fell through the lava onto the magma block. Now, we don't need the lava in here, we just want to kill these guys as quickly as possible so that we can get their items and more can spawn. Now at the moment I've got some command blocks up here which are killing everything else except for items. You can see we're getting lots of items kicking about, but it's killing squids, it's killing drowns, it's killing dolphins, it's killing fish, just to keep our rates as high as possible at the moment while I'm doing some test work on this. And you can see we've got plenty of Guardians being killed pretty much all the time. So each one of these chambers is over the spawning spots. There are no other spawning spots, these are the only ones, and you'll see some are empty like this one with just air above the water, some have glass above the water, and some have a concrete block above the water. And the reason for this is I'm pretty much just testing out different methods of spawning. So technically, because there's a block above this water source, that should be classed as a cave spawn, and these ones with nothing over will be a surface spawn, and the ones with glass over I'm not sure of at the moment, but by doing sort of half and half I'm getting pretty good rates. Now if I get rid of all of these on the top of here and I get rid of all of the glass on top of there, I get pretty much the same rates. It doesn't really make a great deal of difference. I'm still playing with this. I'm not saying this is the final design and I'm not saying this is finished yet, but this is a working concept. It's working perfectly well. We've got a hopper minecart which basically does a lap of the outside, then a lap of the inside, and it comes here to this hopper minecart uploader and it dumps all of the stuff that it collects in there. So it's just picking up everything from the magma blocks as it goes past. You'll see when it gets to that point it'll go around the outside, and then when it comes back it's going to come back to the inside. And the Guardians are spawning pretty regularly. You can see we've got one there, we've got a load over here. They are spawning very regularly, but they do take a long time to die. So that's what this little drop shoot down the middle idea was. I thought instead of putting lava in a magma block, maybe we could get them to drop down and kill them by basically gravity. But you have to come a long way down below each one to actually get them to die from fall damage, which means you've got to clear out a lot more water. At the minute, this design means we're actually clearing out 7 layers of water, which is a lot, but it's nowhere near as much as you would have to clear out if you were clearing out the entire monument. Now you can see the minecart's back here now, it's unloading what it's got in there, it's picked up quite a lot of stuff. It's pretty good. It's pretty fast. Now, if I turn off this command block up here and allow everything else to start spawning, then the rates do slow down a little bit. So let's just do that. Let's just get rid of all the items that are floating around in the ocean first, and we'll turn this kill command off, and now we'll get everything that we normally get spawning around the area as well. So we'll get squids and dolphins and all that sort of stuff coming out, and fish obviously as well. Now you'll see we're still getting plenty of things spawning in, but as more stuff spawns in the world, the more things that spawn underground, we get less and less rates from this. Now anything that spawns in a cave is a cave spawn. Anything that spawns underwater but on the surface, like a drowned mob, is classed as a surface spawn. So if we get rid of all these orange blocks, we'll force all of our Guardians into doing surface spawning instead of cave spawning. And the only thing they've got to compete with then is drowned mobs, which shouldn't occur too regularly. You can see we've got 3 of them down there, and they do start hanging out around the area, which is a bit of a problem. The way we could get rid of that would be to either completely slab out under the ocean so they can't spawn, or to use magma or soul sand around the area to create bubble blocks. That would stop the surface spawning going on, and that would improve the rates a little bit. The fish and the squid and the dolphins aren't going to affect anything really. It's just the drowned mobs, I guess. I don't think anything underground is going to affect this either. But we'll see. Even though I've got rid of all of those blocks and we're only concentrating on surface spawns, if we hop down here, we're still not getting anything at all spawning down here. So that's good. So the rates will still be as good as they can be, but if you want this to be absolutely perfect, the best thing to do would be to work on the area around it to stop the drowned mobs spawning. They are going to be a problem in this game, I think. I've not worked out how many rates this gives us, but this is giving us the maximum amount of guardians spawning at any one time, so I can't imagine it can get much more efficient than this. The only way we could get it more efficient would be, I guess, if we had surface spawns going on somewhere else as well. If we did maybe another layer of this going on down there. But as you saw from my videos, if we get guardians spawning underneath this on PRISMARINE, it's completely random. There's no pattern to it. We can work with the surface spawns because they only spawn in this perfect pattern. If we create a PRISMARINE platform underneath, they just spawn completely randomly, which means we've got to have a completely different system, which means it's not going to be quite as good. So I'm going to go around and I'm going to place a few more of these concrete blocks over the water sources and just see if that makes a difference to our spawning. If we get more things spawning now that we've turned the rest of the stuff back on than we did just without these. There we go, we've got pretty much half and half again. Half have got blocks on the top and half have just got the glass, and the one in the middle's got nothing. So we're getting, this is all testing. This isn't a final design, it's not a finished works. You can use it by all means and it does work, but I'm probably going to work on this some more before I actually introduce it into my world. But it's pretty cheap. It's pretty cheap. Like I say, you don't even need the lava, you just need the magma blocks, and I think there's 25 spawning areas altogether, so you only need 25 bits of magma blocks, 25 bits of water, and a few building blocks. So you really don't need a great deal at all for this farm. So what I've done is I've emptied the chest out. I'm going to float up to the top up here so I'm far enough away for things to spawn. I'm going to set a timer for about 10 minutes and see what we get after that 10 minutes is over. Okay, there we go. So that's been about 10 minutes and it started off really well. I don't know if you was watching that little time lapse there, but right at the beginning we had quite a lot of things spawning. We had at least 2 or 3 at any one time, and as time went on for that 10 minutes it got less and less and less and less, to the point where, like right now, there's nothing spawning whatsoever, and that's not because this farm's broken, that's because things are elsewhere, and that's what we got from 10 minutes, which isn't a massive amount. And I'm sure it probably would be more if we were getting rid of the other things in the world, but we'll have had a lot more things spawning around the world now, which is going to cause this thing to be really, really slow. So let's just check underneath it, make sure nothing's spawned under here. We've not got any guardians around under there, so I can only assume then it's the drowned mobs and things like that that have been spawning in caves that are causing this thing to lose its efficiency. So there are no other guardians in the area, so that's not the issue. So it must be other mobs that are causing this to lose efficiency. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of all of these blocks so we don't have to worry about cave spawns. We're only looking at surface spawns, and see if that improves the system. Right, there we go. We've completely got rid of all the glass and the concrete out of all of these things. Let's see if we get a few more things spawning in now. I can see immediately we've already got 2 guardians at the bottom of the screen that are dying. And it's gone quiet again almost immediately. Almost immediately there's nothing spawning. Right, I've spent a few minutes putting some command block things together, and these might look complicated, but they don't really do a great deal. All each one of these is doing is detecting for a particular mob. So this one's detecting squid, and the comparator basically detects how many squid we're getting. I've given this a maximum limit of 6, and that means there's more than 6 squid hanging about in the area. The same thing goes for dolphins. We've got more than 6 dolphins. We've got a few creepers, 1, 2, 3 creepers, because we can see how many lines of redstone dust are out there. We've got a couple of zombies. We've got a zombie villager. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 skeletons. We've got a couple of spiders. We haven't got any slimes, and we've got 1 witch. So we know we've got quite a few hostile mobs kicking around in the area. However, while I've been doing that, things have been spawning down here and things are still going on. So it's not horrendous. We've got a couple, well, in fact, we've got 2 things in there and 1 thing in there. Quite a few things being killed at once as it is. And if we look in this chest, we're actually getting quite a few drops. I've only spent about maybe another 5-10 minutes playing with that. So it's not horrendous. We're getting more drops now since I've been fiddling with that than we were while I was waiting, which is interesting really, because I'm not actually killing everything now. All of these are turned off, so nothing is actually getting killed. This is all completely natural, 100% vanilla what's going on down there. So one of these things I do want to add is I want to add one for guardians to see exactly how many guardians we're getting at once. So all I do is a piece of glass there. It doesn't have to be glass. I don't know why I've used glass, to be honest. A few of these and then some redstone dust on the top. We stick a comparator behind there and we get our repeating command block behind that, and what we do is we don't just give it a name if you want, it's just easier. So we put guardian there and we do test for type equals, and then we type in the name of the mob. So this will test for any guardians in the area. We don't need a kill switch because they're killing them automatically down there. And then if we run this redstone line out like this, we can see exactly how many guardians we're getting. This will only ever go up as high as, I think it's either 15 or 16, because that's the maximum strength of a comparator signal. And you can see at the moment we've got 2 spawning. Another thing you can do with this, just to make it a little bit easier to see what's going on, is if you put redstone torches down the side of this here, like that, and then a redstone lamp in front of those torches like that, you'll get the redstone torches, although they're inverted, turned off and on for how many we've got. So we can see there we've got 2 guardians at the moment. Now we've got 4 guardians. Then we're going 3 again because they're dying, 4 again. So we are getting quite a few guardians actually round here while we are hanging in the area. That's not bad at all. 4 guardians at once is a reasonable amount if they're all dying at the same time. Back to 3 again. As long as we've got at least 1 guardian dying at any time, we're getting drops out of this thing. We're getting something from it. Right, hanging about here for a couple of minutes then. This has dropped down to 0. It's hanging about 1. I don't know what it is. As soon as I stop doing anything, it's like the spawning rates completely slow down. When I was fiddling about with all this stuff, they were right up. But yeah, they've gone down again now, which is very strange. I don't know why. I think, to be honest, the longer you're in the world and the more you're moving about, the more chunks you're loading and the more, obviously, mobs are going to spawn around the place. But looking around the ocean at the moment, there's not a massive amount of stuff in here other than squids and dolphins. We've got a few drowns kicking around. There we go, we've now got 1 in for drowns. Let's just run this along as well so we can see what's going on. We want to make sure we're not getting too many drowns in the area. I've got a feeling the reason this rates are relatively slow on this farm is because of the drowned. But if it's actual cave spawns like creepers and things like that, then that's a bit of a worry as well, because this should just be using surface spawning mechanics, not cave spawning mechanics. So we'll see, but we can see already we've got more than 6 drowned. Let's extend this out and find out exactly how many we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 drowns in this area, which shouldn't be possible, really. Oh, I suppose it should if there are 8 on the surface and 8 underwater. I don't know, maybe surface spawning and cave spawn is different in the ocean. But that's really weird. We've got 12 drowned mobs. So let's create a killing button for those and kill those off. Right, what I've done here is I've put the Guardian detector next to the Drown detector, and I've put a kill button next to the Drown detector, so we can see when we kill all the Drowns like that, all those lights are going to turn off. Are we going to suddenly get more Guardians spawning, or are we just going to keep getting Drown spawning? It doesn't look like it. What I'm hoping to see is this set of redstone lights turning off, and we're getting more Guardians, and this set of redstone lights turning on. It doesn't look like that's the case. It looks like it's not the Drowns that are preventing the Guardians from spawning. So let's find out what it is. Although they are going up now, and they're coming back down again. I'm going to now go through and I'm going to kill the creepers and the zombies and the zombie villagers and the skeletons and the spiders and the slimes and the witches and see if that helps. Yeah, you can immediately see getting rid of all those as well. We're getting more Guardians spawning, a lot more Guardians spawning. The drowns and the Guardians doesn't really matter. We still get Guardians and drowns at the same time. If we kill those as well, let's go through all of these things. So dolphins, creepers, zombies, zombie villagers, skeletons, spiders, slimes and witches, and then go back to this. You'll see we get immediately quite a lot of Guardians. 6 at the moment there. We did briefly get 7 for a second. Yeah, and now the drowns are coming back again as well. So maybe then, with this farm we've got, these are still getting classed as cave spawns, even though they're spawning in open water, which is a bit strange because unless the zombies and skeletons are on the islands and things, which they shouldn't be able to be because I'm not close enough to them to actually load them, they will only be able to be underground, which means they're in caves. So cave spawns shouldn't interfere with surface spawns, and surface spawns shouldn't interfere with cave spawns, but it does look like that is happening. And we've got a lot of drowns coming back again now. Can you see this? Look how many drowns there are. This is ridiculous. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my white concrete and I'm going to cover up each one of these water sources so that these are all technically cave spawns, and then do the whole thing again and see if that makes any difference. Right, every single one of those water sources has now got a solid block above it, so they should technically be classed as cave spawns rather than surface spawns now. So now let's look at our system. Let's kill everything off again and let's see if we can get any different rates this time. That's going to make life easier. Let's put a button on there so we can kill everything at once. We need to put a repeater in there as well, just so this reaches down the other end. There we go. Now we can kill all of the hostile mobs at the press of one button. Hurrah! And we can see we've got loads and loads of Guardians in there. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Guardians. That is the maximum you'll get as a surface spawn or a underwater spawn from what I understand. Now let's see how that changes as these start to increase. Okay, so now that we're using effectively cave spawns, I would expect that the drowned mob cap or the number of drowned mobs shouldn't really affect the Guardians. But I've been sat here watching this for a little while and the Guardian numbers have dropped right down, and you can see the drowned numbers have gone off the scale. We've got more drowned mobs than actually fits on this thing. So let's just increase this a little bit further and see how many drowned mobs we've actually got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 drowned mobs kicking around. And well, our Guardians are... We're still getting a consistent sort of 1, 2 or 3 at a time. But it's not a great deal more than that. It hasn't really gone much more than 2 at a time, to be honest, since I've been watching this. So it's still consistent that we're getting Guardians spawning, but not quite as consistently as I'd liked. And... oh, there we go. It's just completely dropped off. We've got no Guardians at all in there now, which isn't ideal. It's not ideal. So let's have a look what else we've got going on here. We've got quite a few squids again. The lights on. We've got quite a few dolphins. The lights on. And we've got a couple of creepers. We've got a couple of zombies. We've got a couple of zombie villagers. We've got some skeletons. We've got some spiders. We've got some slimes. And oh no, we don't have any slimes and we don't have any witches. So we do have a few bad mobs in the area. So I guess what this means, rather than going into a great deal of detail on exactly what's causing what problem, this means that if you want better efficiency from your farm, you need to start lighting up the caves around the area to sort of reduce your cave spawning, and it would be worth trying to stop drowns spawnings by either adding magma blocks or soul sand around the area so that they won't spawn in bubble columns, or to slab out the area. But you're going to have to do a massive area for that, so that would be a big job. Realistically, on Bedrock Edition, we're not used to getting particularly great rates from any of our mob farms, so I think the fact that we're getting generally 1, 2 or 3 Guardians spawning at once all the time, that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it for a relatively simple and cheap farm. So let's have a look in the chest again, and you can see we've got quite a lot of stuff. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, nearly 9 stacks of prismarine shards, and 1, 2, 3, 4... nearly 4 stacks of prismarine crystals, and I've been recording and fiddling with this for about an hour. So that's not too bad in 1 hour, it's not too horrendous. Yeah, we've been killing things off and we've been running this at maximum efficiency for a little bit of that, but most of the time we've been running it with other things spawning in the area as well. So it's not horrendous. Like I said at the beginning of this video, this is not a final design, it's a concept, it's an idea, it's there to be worked on, it's there to be improved upon, but I'm pretty happy with it. I think this is very close to something I might end up actually building in my survival realm. And on that note, I'm going to say thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!